Hey, everybody! Welcome to the cult. Hey, everybody! Welcome. Okay, let me just
hold on.
Take a breath.
It's fine. Everybody, take a breath. Collective breath.
Hey, everybody! Welcome back to the Cult Classic Podcast. Cameron Jones here, always with
Mark Nussle.
Jordan Jones.
Oh shit, Jordan's on one tonight.
I'm on one tonight. I had coffee today, which I normally don't do, but well, I digress.
For first-time listeners, Cult Classics Podcast. We are not experts. We are not critics. We're just three friends that like watching movies and talking about them. Sometimes it's listener requests. Sometimes it's something we want to watch. You know what? Sometimes it's something we don't want to watch, but we're going to talk about it. So what are we talking about today?
We're talking about the 1996 flick, Mars Attacks.
Mars Attacks. It's like kind of like a 60s parody of an old science fiction movie where Martians come and invade Earth.
It was the time in Tim Burton's career where no one could say or did say no. Mars Attacks.
Based off a 60s Topps chewing gum trading card series.
Earth is invaded by Martians with unbeatable weapons and a cruel sense of humor.
This is a movie that has a very big A-list star-studded cast. It's one of the earlier ones that I can remember in my lifetime, now that it was the first one to do it. But it was a big 90s one for me, for sure.
This is a transition. You've got up-and-comers who are about to be famous. You got people on the way out, people in the middle, but it's deep. A deep, deep roster.
Starring Jack Nicholson, Glen Close, Annette Benning, Pierce Brosnan, Danny DeVito, Sarah Jessica Parker, Michael J. Fox, Tom Jones, Lukas Haas, Natalie Portman, Jim Brown, Sneaky Jack Black, Sneaky Ray J.
After a fleet of Martian spacecraft surrounds the world, humanity waits to see what the visitors have in store. Mars Attacks. Is this a cult classic? Maybe, actually. It's Tim Burton. He has a fan following himself, and it's not like one of his favorite movies, but it is like a 90s nostalgic movie for me, so I kind of...
Gun to my head, I'm putting a thumbs up for cult classics, I think.
Yeah, I think it might be.
So this is going to be weird. A Blueprint says cult classic, but in reality, I think it's just a cult movie that not a lot of people have seen. It may have a cult following... But
I mean, I feel like it had a big release when we were younger. I feel like everybody saw it because it does have that A-list cast.
Here's the thing. It actually got snubbed on the release because Independence Day was earlier that summer. And so people thought it was just like a parody movie of that movie, even though it was sort of supposed to be kind of this deadpan, kind of dark-humored alien movie.
I always wondered, because I remember this coming out in real time when we were kids, and it seemed like it's Deep Impact versus Armageddon. Volcano versus whatever, like they came
Olympus
out at the same
time.
Yeah, Emperor's New Groove versus what's your guys' Madagascar, not a Madagascar.
No, I said
El Dorado.
El Dorado, yeah. This exactly. It does seem like these were pitted against each other, and this happens when two movies with similar plots and themes happen, but they're completely obviously different demographic. One was this blockbuster movie, and this is obviously not a parody, but an homage to the monster film. It's almost like they wanted to make their own B movie, and Tim Burton could at the time.
You know what, though? I will say one thing in favor of this being more of a cult classic. Anytime I do mention this movie to people, they always go, oh, yeah. Even if they kind of forgot about it, they're like, oh, yeah, that movie's kind of fun and cute. It's like it's another one of those easy watches. It's not anything too
Doesn't
artsy
take
to be
itself
a cult
too
classic.
seriously.
Yeah.
So I'd say
especially because it's not a great movie.
No.
It's just an enjoyable watch.
But because it's genre, because it's monster, because it's Tim Burton, it feels like it may have a cult classic following. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's more just a forgotten gem than an actual cult, like a real hardcore cult classic.
I mean, I feel like we can all land on maybe.
Maybe.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, maybe.
Should we move on to cast and crew?
Sure.
Okay, cast and crew. Let's start with the director. When I was watching this today, I thought it was the first Tim Burton movie we had done, but we had just done Sleepy Hollow. So
Sleepy
second
Hollow.
one.
It's number 2.
Yeah, number 2.
I can see it's
so
getting around to
obviously-
someone else. We'll probably do Edward Scissorhands eventually.
We'll definitely do Beetlejuice.
Oh, yeah.
You have to do Beetlejuice. Directed by Tim Burton, music by Danny Elfman. That's just kind of like peanut butter and jelly there.
I do have to say it's one thing right there, though, because I was going to save that for Unverified, but this was actually the first time that him and Danny Elfman were getting back together after a falling out on a movie previous. I'll get to that on Unverified, but funny that you mentioned that. This was a reconciliation movie for them.
Oh my God, I'm at the edge of my seat.
I know.
It actually, it didn't seem too Danny Elfman-y, if that
it
makes
didn't.
sense, right?
Well,
it had
they had
its whimsical points, but
Well, they had a lot of like spacey kind of 60s noises. It was going for like motifs of like different kind of genres. So like I feel like that's somewhat
They
why.
had their own motifs, but there definitely are moments in between when you're like, there it is.
Yeah.
There's the Elfman.
Yeah, little
Elfman
it's
used a
in
lot
there.
of like these like high like soprano ahs, like very whimsical ahs.
Could practically be
Beatles.
Beetlejuice, but it's like any.
It almost sounds
movie
polka-y
composer.
where it gets like bump, 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 bump.
Yeah,
That's very
that's
Danny
the part.
Elfman-y.
Creates some
That's
energy
the
there.
Elfman parts I noticed.
All right, on to cast. We have Jack Nicholson plays the president, and I like this. Also plays Art Land. Just this kind of how would you describe this guy?
The real
Big
estate,
baller.
dirty mogul.
Yeah,
Kind of cheesy.
Yeah, I like it in any
guy.
movie. I like it in any movie when you get a bit of double casting going on.
I'll admit this, since I saw this movie when I was around 10 years old, it wasn't until the end credits
But you were like,
when I
"Whoa."
realized that that's Jack Nicholson too.
Well, funny enough,
you were about to say Nicholas, weren't you?
Yeah, it's a
it's
tough
tough.
one.
There was like a moment where he takes off his hat and hair, and that's a moment where I was watching it this time. I was like, "Oh, well, if anyone didn't know that was him, like that's a pretty big giveaway."
I mean, I was 10. I probably barely knew who he was. He's like, I mean, he plays the Joker as well. You know, as a kid.
Glen Close plays the first lady, Marcia. I remember her as a kid from 101 Dalmatians and
Yeah,
like
early
Air Force
kid,
One.
that was-
She's the vice president.
Air Force, yeah, I was about to say you kind of just nailed my two big ones as a kid. That's like the biggest thing on my radar. I mean, obviously she's Glenn
It seems
Close.
like
so.
she's probably played the first lady a few times.
This was a surprising one, and I definitely remember bringing this up in Hook. She's in fucking Hook. She's
Very briefly, yeah. Actually, funny enough, she has made it on the
Not
podcast
the
before.
boombox.
Go back and see our episode of Hook. But she was the pirate locked in the boo box randomly.
Annette Bening plays Barbara Land.
She's kind of a burnout hippie desert person.
Okay, yeah.
This is the one that surprised me the most. I hadn't seen it for years, but it seems very against type for her. This
kind of, yeah.
character she's
I don't
playing.
really like.
But I
what-
liked her in it.
What is she in? I don't really.
Her biggest role that I can think of is American Beauty. She plays the wife.
Pierce Brosnan plays Professor Don Kessler. Obviously, he's my James Bond. I don't know about you guys, but it's my James Bond right there.
He's my child to James Bond, but I do like Daniel Craig's version quite a bit.
I think I'm Daniel Craig before him. This is obviously the height of his career, and this is a role where, hey guys, I'm more than just James Bond. And everybody's like, no, you're not.
I don't know, bro. Have you seen Mamma Mia?
Yeah, I think that proves Roger's point.
I have the first
Hey,
one.
that's coming from someone who kind of likes both Mamma Mias.
Hey, Danny DeVito plays he's literally just named Rude Gambler. Perfect role for him. Martin Short plays the press secretary, Jerry Ross.
Sneaky favorite of mine, Inner Space.
Jungle to Jungle.
I still got to go Three Amigos.
Oh yeah, Three Amigos. Actually, that probably takes the cake.
Well, hold on, Cameron. He plays Hubie in The Pebble and the Penguin. So don't.
Yeah, you'd be surprised how much that means the shit to me.
Sarah Jessica Parker plays Natalie. She's like a talk show host. Sex of the City, obviously. Hocus Pocus.
She's one of those sneaky people that had, I believe, been acting for years before she popped.
Yeah, well, yeah, she was a child. She was a
in
child.
so much
child
stuff in the
actress.
80s. Yeah, I know, but I don't think she was famous until Sex and the City. Definitely not a household name. She's in a lot of movies like this.
Flight of the Navigator.
Flight of the Navigator.
Michael J. Fox plays Jason Stone. He's also he's like a news reporter, GNN. Obviously, Back to the Future, Teen Wolf.
During this time, he was on the show Spin City.
True.
This could be a wild unverified, but this is the last movie he was like physically in as of 2019.
That is true.
That's probably not a surprise because I think around the time he was in this and on Spin City, he stopped acting because his Parkinson's got too bad or
Right.
started getting worse.
Ron Steger plays General Decker. He's in Shiloh. I'd seen that movie before. It's a little dog movie, sad, real sad.
Doesn't he play as general in someone else? He seems like the 90s general to me.
Tom Jones. It's not unusual. Plays Tom Jones.
This is in my notes. Shout out to mine and Cameron's grandma Hun, who was a big Tom Jones fan.
True.
Well, what are the two big ones? There's
She's a lady. Whoa.
I know three.
What's New
But then
Pussycat?
doesn't he have one who's like, and I don't something anymore.
The way you're singing it sounds like maybe. Yeah, that sounds like Tom Jones.
Yeah, okay. I would put Tom Jones not quite in the category of, even though he is a Vegas lounge singer, I wouldn't put him in Wayne Newton's or Barry Manilow's. I'd put him more in almost Neil Diamond-y. Nah, Neil Diamond's got better hits.
Yeah.
I apologize. Fun cameo, though.
Yeah.
You almost can't call it a cameo. He's in that thing for a long time. I mean,
It's true. It's a fun little role.
Yeah, it's a good role. Lukas Haas plays Richie Norris, essentially the hero that saves the day in the movie.
He's in a bunch of stuff.
He's the pin in Brick. He's in Inception, The Revenant. Natalie Portman plays the president's daughter. Black Swan, Your Highness, no strange. Star Wars.
Garden State.
Sylvia Sidney plays the grandma, the elderly grandma. She's in Beetlejuice as well, Tim Burton Beetlejuice. Jack Black plays the brother of Richie. Billy Glenn Norris goes to the Army. We love Jack Black on this podcast.
No, it's fun to go back to movies like this and see somebody who hasn't broke yet, and it's one of their first roles. You're like, oh, awesome.
Oh, shit. Yeah, Jim Brown plays Byron Williams. This guy, let's talk about Jim Brown for a sec.
Jim Brown is not only the best running back of all time, but maybe the best football player in NFL history.
Fullback, even better, because we don't have fullbacks anymore.
He retired after 10 years to become a movie star, and he did just that. He's in one of my favorite classic movies, The Dirty Dozen. Love it. Check it out. Recommend
And
it.
as far as football players who tried to turn actors, I at least know out of the two, off the top of my head, he didn't kill anyone that I know of.
Yeah, I definitely was going to recast OJ, but I didn't want to, you know?
Yeah, I think you just gotta
what do I
respect
have
your
here?
canon
Never missed an NFL game in his career due to an injury. That's fun.
That's crazy.
Only man to be inducted during his lifetime into 3 sports Hall of Fames: pro football, college football, and lacrosse.
And lacrosse.
And also posed for a nude centerfold in September 1974 issue of Playgirl magazine. So he did it all.
Nice.
I'm glad you said
Triple
it.
threat.
Yeah, he did it all. And still alive, still kicking. Very big activist. Absolutely the shit.
Yeah.
Pam Grier, she was big in blaxploitation movies. She played Foxy Brown and
Oh, is she
a bunch of those in the 70s.
the mom, the bus driver?
Yeah, she's a bus driver.
Okay.
But the reason we stepped on Jim Brown is everybody knows who Jack Nicholson is, but there's only 2 icons in this movie, and it's Jim Brown and Jack Nicholson. Jim Brown's an absolute icon.
Should we move on to Unverified? Unverified. Just to circle back to the Unverified earlier, so Tim Burton and Danny Elfman reunited on this film after not working together on Ed Wood in 1994, and that was because of apparently creative differences they had during Nightmare Before Christmas in 93. And I'm guessing because that one is so musical. I mean,
Which one of them didn't like This Is Halloween?
I'm just guessing just I mean, we were going from just score writing to actual like lyrical score writing too. So I'm sure I'm guessing something in there really irked somebody. God damn it, Tim! The line is Christmas toe will never know. But if you are unaware, Tim Burton and Danny Elfman do have a long history of working together for a lot of their movies.
Martian Girl Never Blinks. Is that only to her? Do any of the Martians blink, or is it just her?
I don't think so, but I think that was just a way for them to show like that it was a Martian, but
I don't think anybody was confused. Even me as a kid knew that was a Martian.
terrifying. Another weird fun fact about that is the actress had to be sewn into the suit, into the dress each time because they wanted it to be seamless and odd looking. I have to pee a lot. I'm going to warn you guys, so get the needles going. The writers weren't sure what the Martians were going to sound like, but in the script, it had just ack, ack, ack in it, and it just ended up staying all the way to the final that they just go ack, 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 ack.
I like it.
It's kind of funny. I like when little things like that, like it was just in the script, no one had a better idea, and it went all the way through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it works. It plays.
The movie set in the 1990s, but the U.S. Army's uniforms are and equipment date from the 1950s to pay homage to the monster type of movie when it was big in the 50s and 60s. It's still even noticeable the way they show Vegas. Now, that's old Vegas now, but even in the 90s, I think there would have been bigger... They show the old strip still, which has a more retro feel for sure.
This is kind of funny, but the reason that the skeletons are red and green is because I can't remember when the actual release is, but it was at least originally scheduled to be a Christmas release, so he wanted to at least have something festive, kind of to fit in with the holiday.
Really? I definitely know that this was supposed to be a gorier movie, and that like they just kind of went to those red and green bones instead of like
the Rays were going to do multiple things. They were going to like melt people, they're going to cut holes through people, they're going to shrink things, and they're going to be a multiple. But it was going to, like Mark was saying, it was going to be much gorier outcome.
Jack Nicholson accepted the role without even reading the script, since he liked working with Tim Burton on Batman so much. So that's kind of a wild card move. But because that Jack Nicholson took the role, it actually attracted a lot more actors. I think they were having trouble with casting beforehand. But once Nicholson joined, Glen Close, Pierce Brosnan, DeVito, Michael J. Fox, they all kind of followed suit.
He gave it credibility, and then they all saw the movie, and they're like, oh, so that's what we made.
We were talking about this earlier, but Tim Burton originally wanted to make this stop motion. But I mean, initially, it was going to, I think Jordan even nailed the price, was going to be like $100 million over their allotted budget. But also, the company that he usually goes with was already in production for James and the Giant Peach, so that they were just too busy anyway. But apparently Tim Burton still wanted it to have like at least a little bit of a stop motion-y feel. So he made the animators purposely make it look a little cheap and fake, he said, to give it. And he also wanted to take away the Martians' motion blur to give it more of a herky-jerky stop motion effect. So we do have some comments, I think, later about the effects not living up to Tim Burton standards. But that might be some of the reasons why.
Even though the Martians have sort of an iconic alien look, he made them unique with the faces and a little scary, but a little comical.
Well, so
I'm glad that he
based the appearance off of this like Topps trading card series.
I have one more little interesting thing. We're already kind of just complaining that, well, not complaining, but this is obviously a huge cast, but the original script had 60 characters. We're missing out on a suburban housewife, a soldier, televangelist, college students, professor, and doctor, nurse's fiance, and survivalist.
Geez, I mean, they already kind of had that. Like college student, like army guy was just Jack Black.
I mean, they had a lot of characters.
Yeah, that's pretty much all I had. This did have a million facts, and I stopped reading halfway through as well. So if there's anything interesting out there, as always, just write us on the movie posters on social media and let us know what we missed. Let's move on to
questions, comments, and
This was kind of just a silly, easy starter, but just whenever I think of a UFO, I always think of like the ones in this movie, the typical flying saucer-esque.
Yeah, that
UFO.
classic like disc shape.
Yeah, right.
I'll
Even
build
though
on
UFO
that.
is unidentified flying object.
That I agree with that, and I like that. I don't know if it's spoof or comedy or what, or where it lies, but I like that he used classic, iconography from monster movies, and at least paid homage. I like the look and the campiness of the movie quite a bit. It's got a lot of funny moments.
That is the also main thing I have is just kind of the costuming and the design and like the time period feel of that old sci-fi like we were talking about earlier. I mean, just to have my own thing, just another thing I'll throw on top of it is I like just kind of it's a cute little humor. Like even like the aliens being like evil, like it's just kind of a funny like kind of, I don't know. It's cheeky.
It's got comedic moments, like for sure. It's like a dark comedy, right?
I think it might just be a comedy.
I think it's supposed to be a comedy, but you never get like straight comedy out of Tim Burton. He always has funny moments. He is good at having really funny parts of his movies.
It's
but
dry.
I think this one is supposed to be more of a straight up comedy, which is why it feels like different for him.
I will say my two favorite things rewatching this, because I really haven't seen this movie in years. But which the joke that kept happening that the Martians said we come in peace as they killed people, that's just funny as shit. And the fact that the humans are, let's give it another chance as everybody's getting killed, it's fucking hilarious.
I will agree. I forgot how funny it was watching it this time around.
Could the translator have effed up, and we come in peace? Actually, it said something else, right?
I do have some questions about that. I feel like we should hold on to that one for the next category.
What? Questions, comments?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, what do you mean? Isn't this question?
We're in favorite
Oh, is
aspects
this late?
still.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
You're good.
Mentally, I've been on questions, comments. Got it.
All right. I think we hit off our
Tom Jones.
favorite
All right, sorry.
aspect.
Favorite aspect, Tom Jones. Love him in the movie.
He kills it.
As far as cameos go, it's always fun having a celebrity. You never know how they're going to work, but it's fun when they can play along.
I would almost say, like, I'm sure we've done a Mount Rushmore of best cameos, and of course I forgot about this because I didn't remember, but Tom Jones is really funny in this movie, and I like that he runs off away from his... He obviously is fine
Girls,
with
get
making
outta
fun
here.
of himself.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And what an ender, right? With him just with the animals. Like,
Yeah, it
I
ends
don't
with Tom
know.
Jones.
I don't know if
Oh my God.
that's referring to something, if it's a reference or something, but it's funny. I don't
Yeah.
know what it is. Does this feel like a Tim Burton movie?
No, not at all. But I think it's because the reasons we were talking about before, that this is a straight comedy, whereas that's not exactly what he does, which is why it doesn't kind of deliver as one either. It is funny a lot of the time, but I think it's supposed to meant to be funny all the time.
I agree with that. I think the thing that makes it feel the least amount like a Tim Burton movie is that it doesn't have his central character that Johnny Depp plays a lot of, that confused person, that what am I
Shy,
trying to
meek
say?
hero.
Yeah, like a shy or meek hero. He's missing that. But anyway, I like it. It just doesn't
Well, I mean,
feel like a
we
Tim
do
Burton.
have that with our main character. He's more of like an aloof, stupid hero, but
it was
Ricky-
kind of unorthodox in the sense that like all of the A-list actors like died off. Like all like the main ones you thought would maybe stick around a little longer, they died off. Spoiler alert, they died off quickly.
I only wish I could remember how this was marketed. I don't at all. Because it was definitely, I didn't see it in theaters. It was a home rental.
I'm sure we could find some trailers on this. This is 96. There's trailers.
It was
that
almost
exist.
like everybody who was like a jerk or a dirtbag in the movie, you could tell you didn't have to like them. They were going to get killed. It was fine. But then like Richie or Jim Brown, you kind of were fighting for them.
That's
in the end a
true.
little
He
bit.
did the good survived and the bad and ugly died. I didn't think about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just animosity. Just this isn't right at the beginning, but those parents are pretty unconcerned, Jim Brown and his wife, that their kids have been missing for 2 days. 2 days. They're pretty young looking.
He was like, I can't talk right now. The manager's looking at me.
Well, not only that, he's just like, oh, they're just at that age. They'll come back in a second. And then, then he's like, I got to go.
Well, to that point, they're hanging out on their mom's like bus route. Like, if I was a kid, just get off of Route 56. Maybe take a couple blocks north, play the arcade there.
Yeah, there's another arcade in 96 that you can find that's not on your mom's route.
I wrote that down myself. I just can't believe it. Maybe you
Oh,
don't
shit,
know your mom's
coming.
bus route,
Oh, shit.
but just get off of any bus routed street. Find a side street. Stay away from buses. You know what your mom does.
Yeah, that was.
Although
silly.
they don't go to school much, so maybe they really don't know what their mom is like, where their mom's been.
That's true. I wasn't too smart of a kid, but I still knew where my mom worked. But they're in a bigger city, it looks like, than our small town.
Comment, kind of animosity, I guess, for his actions. But if movies have taught me anything, never volunteer for something historic dealing with all of humanity. You're going to die. Jack Black was like,
wouldn't.
I'm volunteering for Martian duty. No, I'm not going to be there for the first meeting of anything. I'm not volunteering for anything.
I'll even one up that if aliens come to humanity and you're in the armed services, and especially if you're an officer, and they're like, do you want to be part of the welcome crew? You should be like, you can court-martial me. You can do whatever you want, but I am not going to meet those aliens.
Well, hold on. Let's say aliens kill us all, right? Do you want to be right there and experience it all, or do you want to just like get zapped and not even know what happened?
I want to get zapped in my apartment. I don't want to get zapped at the welcome crew.
Yeah, I agree with that kind of too. I want it to be a bit of a surprise.
Animosity there. The U.S. military would never let people that close to the landing site, right? I mean, that
I
would
would
be
not
like
think. Yeah,
this would
no,
be
I
a
think
huge thing.
I feel like it'd be a much wider perimeter.
No, they wouldn't at all.
Okay, so
So
let's
there,
talk about.
I would. If I was
Go
a
on.
hippie, like microdosing on like shrooms or something, I mean, that would be quite the experience. Barbara.
I
if you will,
mean,
and she-
I think it'd be true that people would definitely try to be there, and there's a bunch of dipshits. If
100%. But as we saw from Storm Area 51, I think they're actually pretty good at just clearing areas of desert and making sure people can't get to a spot. I think they'd be fine.
yeah, I guess if you're
Tom
far
DeLonge.
enough
Granted, that's a military installation that's been there for a really long time, but
I have an animosity. You can agree with me or disagree with me. It's a double-edged sword because I love that this movie has such a deep ensemble cast. Okay, and I love movies that doesn't necessarily have a strong lead telling from their point of view, but I think that this movie lacks from not one central. I know that Richie is sort of the main character or is supposed to be our sympathetic hero in some way, but he doesn't really add much to the movie, and it just seems like a lot of scenes that I like and are funny, but it kind of lacks from direction.
It's lacking on. You're saying you want a little more from him, right? Like,
yeah.
Well, also to your point about the loose kind of storyline, I will say that also caters to cult classics. I feel a lot of the time when it is a little bit more loose of a story. So I do kind of like some movies like that I feel like I can just jump into. It's just a conglomerate of scenes.
Kind of like Dazed and Confused, right? Like who really is carrying that? Is it Mitch? Is it the football player?
All right, I should explain more. I'm fine with not a central lead character, but unlike other ensemble pieces, and especially Dazed and Confused, you normally have 3 storylines going on and they intertwine a little bit. This doesn't have much intertwining or many points to everybody's storyline. They just kind of have their own thing, but it's not all moving in one direction. Or am I just being an asshole?
Yeah, I think it could have been interesting if they did figure out a way to intertwine their stories, right?
Yeah. Having that said, I love that it's got this many actors just kind of like, having fun with it. I think the movie could have been a little bit more. I would have enjoyed it more, I suppose, if it intertwined the plots a little bit more, the storylines.
I see where you're coming from with that, and I agree.
I love that those Martians wear underwear. I don't know why. It's weird that they're just in their red underwear.
They get shirtless. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's dumb.
That is odd.
It's so dumb.
Which brings me up to this. Let's talk about how they die. One, I do like it. It is funny, just that the radio frequency of that like yodeling is what takes him down. Your guys' thoughts on that?
Oh, we're at the very end. I mean, yeah, that is an absurd way to die.
But doesn't it seem like they should, like animosity, they have like an exposed brain and they're small. Doesn't it seem like they should be easy to kill? When they land at the beginning, they're surrounded by tanks. There's one spaceship and like 6 guys that get out, but they kill everyone and get back onto the ship, and we only get 1 body back, from what I can tell from the autopsy later. So I'm just saying, do they have something I don't know about? Like the glass breaks when Byron punches him.
And they shoot a couple, like in the head. Don't they shoot one?
Is everyone just so bad aim? They are surrounded by like an army, and they only got 1?
I guess the answer to that is...
Yeah, that's a good point.
We brought a peace offering to a laser fight.
Yeah.
And they caught us off guard a little bit?
I guess there is like one scene, I think, where someone is shooting the alien. He just kind of looks at it as it's like bouncing off the...
I think the aliens have bulletproof vests. When Jack Nicholson gets stepped on, they do get shot up in there.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Still, like, I mean...
We're kind of sitting ducks, no? If we get like an alien encounter, like, are we supposed to not just kind of like be... I mean, we're going to bring a peace offering to a laser fight, probably, if this ever happens in real life.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's what's going to happen. We're going to die. So here's a question I have about all alien movies and intelligent life in general. I think that we give aliens way too much credit. If what do they call it? Extraterrestrials? No, but if intelligent life exists on other planets, I hate that everybody thinks that aliens are intelligent. I think they're just more patient. We can get to Mars. It just takes like 6 months.
I mean, that's true. They could just be like earlier on in the Big Bang and just more developed.
So you think it's just
more
patience?
I think they're more patient than us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe they've got 4 Elon Musk versus our 1, and they're willing to take the time, build the armada, and get them out there.
I mean, like Pierce Brosnan said, if they took the time to have the civilization, they should have been peaceful too. But Jordan, they're just hostile little fuckers.
Do you think in our Mars situation, whatever they call it, I don't know the mission name for it, are we going peaceful or are we going guns blazing?
Right. So we could be on the offensive end. I mean, it's a game of chess, if you will. Are we coming down, taking lasers to a peace treaty? I don't know.
I
think we should.
I don't know if we have to nuke them, but I would say bring a laser.
Okay,
push
laser
trigger,
or
but you
two.
don't have to use it.
This is actually kind of is like a good point. When we use our nuke and that almost Looney Tunes Acme thing comes out and just sucks up the nuke. I
Kinda
do
hate
like
that
that there
part.
is an almost. I do like that there's like a cartoonish almost element to these guys. I do like that.
They're sucking up a nuke. I mean, what is that?
And then they smoke it like a bong.
Yeah,
and laugh.
those little bastards.
No, I agree. I really do like the cartoon. It is gimmicky. It's supposed to be funny. It's supposed to be cheeky. It's supposed to be campy. It really is. But on the counter side of that, how do you think it's aged? There's no way we're not going to talk about it.
What do you mean?
The Martians themselves, the computer animation.
Oh, well, we already, I mean, just not great, obviously. It looks like
Just
90s
because
and shitty, but...
Just because it doesn't take itself like too seriously, I don't take that into account as much. Like if we're talking about you're like, oh wow, like that part in Jurassic Park, like that's
true. If these monsters were in Jurassic Park, you're like, oh, it didn't age well. But that's
like
not the tone of the movie.
the fact that they are cartoonish, like and they do kind of pop out, it's kind of part of the fun. The only thing that really is a little like, ooh, that's bad, is like the dove seems unnecessary when you could get a practical shot. There are some things like that could have been practical shots that you're like, oh, well, we're just throwing CG at it. But the aliens and like the UFOs,
Forgot about that. Yeah,
the effects around those lines are
because it's
themselves
supposed
fine.
to be kind of cartoony. It ages, I think, better. I agree.
Anything they actually just try to do that should have been practical is kind of annoying. But
I do question this. Do you think that this is a transition time? Now, obviously, people were going to move to computer animation anyway. But this is between this movie for Tim Burton and then his next one, I'd say, what follows this? It's Sleepy Hollow. Is kind of the end of his practical effects, and I feel like this is a curse that we didn't see coming, because he moves away from all the practical effects and just to computer animation.
He does come back to him, but I think a lot of it is just cost effectiveness and time. It takes a shit ton of time and money to make the stop motion.
I know, but it's
animation.
It's sad, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
I guess it's just the way it is.
Well, I feel like that's why we still get some of those. We still get your Corpse Bride and things like that, but we have to get those cut with live actions that don't take as long.
I don't even mean
they can make more of this and less of this.
I know, but since he was such an auteur and original, it's sad to see him move to just green screen shit.
No, I get it. I agree. I mean, this podcast is very pro practical effect if you can do it.
And not only that, obviously he did enough original characters. I mean, what the fuck is Edward Scissorhands? What's Beetlejuice? I don't know. Probably they're based on something. Who knows? But the last half of his career, he's just remade classics. You know, Alice in Wonderland, Sweeney Todd.
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah, I do hate.
Do in the Shadows,
I'm not big on
that's
his.
called.
I'm not big on his remake. His remake period here, but I did kind of like What We Do in the Shadows, even though it's not good. That's a guilty pleasure of mine. That's not
Or
great.
is it?
Like it.
I said the wrong thing. Is it What We Do in the Shadows?
Dark Shadows.
Dark Shadows. Sorry.
He had a Johnny Depp crutch there for a little bit.
Yeah,
Still
for
does.
sure.
I
Maybe
believe.
still does. Yeah.
Do you think we'll get one more good, weird, classic one from him, or he pretty much is what he is?
Who, Johnny Depp or Tim Burton or both?
Tim Burton.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
we'll
I
get
think
some.
we're gonna get a couple. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we still got something out of it. Oh.
You know what's a sneaky one that you can see it? Plus Helen Mirren Carter's in it, maybe. But Big Fish doesn't seem like his. It doesn't. It doesn't.
It kind of at times it does. I kind of get that.
I like Big Fish.
Oh, you know, like the slapstick part when the one of the attack ships is like playing with the Washington Monument and the Boy Scouts are like running like back and forth. Did they die? Did the Boy Scouts die?
Yeah, they got crushed.
Okay. Thought so. That's too bad. Get the fucking president to a bunker. What are we doing here?
Yeah,
Like
animosity. They are just dallying and just taking
At the
the
end,
time.
it's like fucking Clue when they're running like from room to room. They're just kind of like escorting him around. Like
They lose the first daughter. The first lady dies, and then it takes two kids to be like, "What the fuck are you guys doing? Get him out of here!"
That was good.
Yeah, those two kids are like, get the president out of here, as they're just like living it up. Oh, you know what? I know I might have said it earlier, but I love how clueless and dumb the Earthlings are, and especially the United States. But even to the point right before Jack Nicholson, as the president dies, he's talking to the French president. He's like, no, get out of there. Why did not the rest of the world see what happened to us? Well, it's just funny that it took so long. With the president in that whole bunker and the war room scene, it has to. It feels like an homage to Doctor Strangelove and why we decided to drop the bomb. The Stanley Kubrick movie, especially the general, the nuke 'em all. But I do love that scene. I like a war room scene. I like the nuke 'em all.
It's a good war room scene. What was your idea of how the Martians invaded? Was it just like kind of by the cities, or were they everywhere? I mean, like, were they everywhere?
Well, it's confusing because, like, after they're surrounding the Earth almost the entire movie, and then they don't really go on a large scale attack until after the terrifying Martian lady sneaks into the White House and they get killed, and then all of a sudden they're like, screw it, invade. Like, there's a couple of days they're just kind of hovering around, and it seems like just fucking with people.
Well, why I ask is because Richie, Jack Black, that family, right? Were they in Nevada? Like by the first landing, right?
It seems
Nevada.
like around there, yeah.
I would, yeah.
Okay, so that's why I wonder, is because then the aliens came back there to like finish that little town off. Are they just finishing every little town? Like, what's the scale of this?
Worldwide, yeah, especially because we see them blowing up like the Taj Mahal.
But
and,
that
like,
took
Easter
a while.
Island.
I do like that little montage. That's fun.
They were. Yeah, that was the end invasion, but yeah, they're everywhere. I mean, it's just from the American
But it seems
point
like
of view,
they
I'd
hit
imagine.
in Nevada, and then there was at least a few days between the full scale attack.
Yeah,
It was
for
the
sure.
seven wonders of the world, and then that small trailer park in Nevada.
That's it, though. That's it. It's just those 8 places.
Yeah.
It was first. I mean, they showed those cows that were on fire somewhere in a rural area.
That's the beginning of the movie.
So that was just recon work.
Yeah, that's just them again. I think fucking around.
Again, we covered this in our Independence Day episode, and we'll have covered it in any Alien episode. In Chicago, I feel like not as safe. Growing up, when I saw this movie and any Alien movie, we grew up in a small town in Iowa, and I'm like, we're good. We're gonna make it.
We're safer than New York or LA, but we have a target on our back for sure.
We do have a
Which
target
brings
on our
up
back.
my question: what do you guys do after the first attack in Nevada when you see the Dove get blasted and everybody die?
Well, what do I do in Chicago is I hunker down and hope for the best.
Yeah, Jordan said at the beginning he's gonna just get zapped in his living room. He'd rather be there.
Why
than
worry
like,
twice? Isn't worry just It's
Why
just
worry
worrying twice.
Does seem like we should try to get out of town because this is right now isolated in
We're not
Nevada.
gonna make it out.
Yeah, we have nowhere in the country really to go is the problem. You're right. We need a getaway house. We need a doomsday home somewhere. Good
bunker.
call, Jordan.
We just gotta assume we live in a residential enough area of Chicago that they're not gonna hit us first.
Now, Mark, you say bunker, and that's great, but like, let's be real. We can't afford a bunker, but we might be able to afford a shack on some land.
Ooh,
Well, here's the thing: you're not going to call it a Martian bunker, are you? You're going to just call it a doomsday house. You're already weird enough. The moment you say
Nah,
Martian,
I'm probably like, if anything, prepping more for zombies than anything else right now.
I'd much
And hold
rather go against zombies than Martians.
Oh yeah,
Martian implies Mars. No,
yeah, they are, and they do say that they are from Mars, under the ground. They believe.
Oh yeah, they do some science.
Son
They
of a
just sent a
gun.
rover there, but it's
did
all.
we check underground on Mars? Have we done that yet?
We just
We
sent a
don't know.
rover. One just landed today, I believe.
Yeah, there's always rovers, aren't there?
Yeah, but think how small of an area rovers cover. Let's get some aerial views.
rovers.
Don't we have drones now? Why are we rovering still? Drone this shit out of a country. Send 20
Rover
drones.
seems like 1960, right?
Yeah, it seems like we should be past rovers. Whatever
Call
it
it
needs to
something
do
new.
to fly, drone it up. Drone the shit out
I feel
of
like
it.
we're worried about
Yeah, we need drones
sandstorms and
up there.
weather and those.
We need
I'm
what?
pretty sure
Like, if we're gonna drone it or whatever, let Google Earth take care of it. Send us to Google Mars. They'll figure it out. It'll take 5 years and we'll have it mapped out. I can see
Yep.
where I'm sitting right now on Google Earth. I can see this seat I'm in. Let them do
Scary,
it.
isn't it?
This drone shit is it's too much. Sorry, the drone, the rovers. We gotta be past rovers.
Yeah, we need to be past rovers. We anti-rover podcast here.
I stand by it.
Cameron Jones real happy about the landing today from NASA with the Mars lunar rover. Hey, animosity. Where does Byron think he's going after the first planetary attack? When he's like, "I'm still coming tomorrow. I'm coming to Washington. I'm flying." Everything's going to be shut down. The moment we're surrounded by UFOs, normal commercial flights will be shut down.
Yeah.
I'd imagine. If I'm a pilot, I don't want to do. I'm getting drunk at home instead of up in the air.
Yeah, you got to think everything's gonna be grounded, right? That'd probably be the first move.
Yeah, people are panicking. Things are
Even
going
though
crazy.
it's for comic relief, I do think that everybody's pretty calm about the invasion and the way it went.
Yeah, the next day everyone's like going about their lives.
They're
Jack
very
Nicholson's still-
laissez-faire, if that's the right phrase about it.
This part in the movie came kind of around the montage of like hitting the Taj Mahal and like Big Ben. It was just kind of like, almost like looked like stock footage of people just running and kind of panicking.
Oh yeah.
And then they had Godzilla. It just switched. It was just Godzilla. You're like, oh fuck, it's kind of a fun nod.
Yeah, I do like some of the fun. Well, some of it was bad. I do like the footage montage. Yeah.
It was a little gimmicky, but it was a good gimmick. I liked the Martians watching our TV programming up in there. I don't know.
Dukes of Hazzard.
Yeah. I don't know. It's dumb. I'm going to say it again because it's weird, but the fact that they're in red underwear and naked up on their ship besides the red underwear, it's funny to me. It's so weird. I mean, it's a step you don't see often in these movies.
Hey, be comfy with it. Okay, animosity. After you watched the first attack in the desert, why would you show up as a regular civilian to Congress to see how that meeting goes down? You saw one go down. Why would you ever show up?
They tricked us again. They trolled us again. They said it
They
was a
trolled us. They
misunderstanding.
said they came in peace, Cameron. It was a misunderstanding.
We come in peace. Don't run.
Yak, 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 yak. I will say this, though. The most ridiculous not understanding the gravity of this invasion is that they let that elementary middle school still go on a field trip there the next day.
Yeah, that would never happen.
That's
Also-
the most ridiculous thing.
Read the room.
School is closed, or at least I'm not going.
Plus, if those kids skip as much school as it's implied, they're not going on any field trip.
Yeah, but how often do you get to go to the White House?
Well, that's true. That's
It's
a
like,
normally
fuck,
pay
I
to
can't
go.
miss that.
Also, like Secret Service just lets Martin Short in with a random prostitute like during this whole thing. Seems like maybe they'd let that shit slide in not wartime, but we're in planetary war. We can't. We're on, and she looks.
She's
scary.
obviously a Martian as well.
Hey, I think you're about
That
to fucking
looks
alien.
like a Martian.
As a kid, as now, that Martian scared me, and I didn't even want to watch it where he gets his finger bit off.
And I don't
just
think
gross.
like the press secretary like has that type of like
Power
pull at the White House.
and
Like,
swing.
I mean,
yeah,
can you just like enter the White House at like any given will? I don't think so.
I mean, I'm
Perhaps
sure
go
there's
to
security
security.
protocol. I'd still imagine. Yeah.
Right.
Question: Is Natalie Portman the president now?
They sure made it seem like it.
She was. Dude, at the end, I'm like, wait.
She's just the acting president. How far down the line of succession do we get until just like if you have kids and they're alive, I guess they can do it.
I guess if you
what's like the royalty where it's like a king, like a monarch, like
I'd be
She-
like, actually,
she's just
I'd
the
stand up
prince-
and be like, actually, I think I'm in charge. I think I'm in charge if this is
the Speaker of the House is still just, or the Vice President is still just out there, like, yeah, well, no, it's me, Natalie.
Yeah, I'm alive.
it's kind of martial law, I think, at that point.
Also, I don't think it's protocol in any ceremony to kiss anybody when she's like, I have to kiss you. Like, you don't have to. I have to.
Totally good. We've never met.
I rewound it 3 times. Did she ask, do you have a girlfriend?
Do you
at
have
the
a
end?
girlfriend?
believe
Yeah, she
so,
does.
yeah.
Okay, so she's the president. Cool. Glad I settled that. And also, last question. How does Byron get to D.C. after being beaten to the ground by aliens? One, I want to know how that turned around. And he's like, popped up like, I'm not down. And then just sucker punched a bunch or what?
I will say I remember from a kid that he punched a lot more aliens than it turns out he did. I thought he was beating the shit out of aliens, but he didn't really punch that many.
He killed them at least 2 to 3, 4, 5. I don't know at most. But then it seems like
He
how
died.
did
I need you to. He died. He did not make it to the end. It was
Well,
not a
he-
happy ending. That man died.
we definitely know he played possum because he got back up off the ground at some point.
I believe Tom Jones just flew him there, Cameron.
No, he didn't get on the plane. That's why I'm saying, how did Byron all
Biggest
of a sudden show
possum
up in
move.
D.C. from Nevada, what seems like next day?
Well, he called in. What you didn't see was after he talked to Pam Grier's character, his wife, he called into the airline. He's like, hey, I'm going to need to push my flight today. And like, that makes sense.
Honestly,
It's a hectic time.
Huge plot hole there. That's crazy. I just didn't question it, because like
Everything seems very organized. They're picking up bodies. So maybe this is like a week later, and Byron did just walk on foot across the country in a week. And
Here's a question.
It rivals the ending of Homeward Bound when Shadow. You don't know how Shadow gets out of the fucking little hole there, but he comes up. It's you cry.
What you didn't see, though, is Shadow did some unmentionable things to survive. It's not all on film. He did some dirty murder things. Society goes back to normal, or we're always in fear of aliens after this? Or do we counterattack?
We send that record to Mars. We annihilate them.
I know, but it's going to take us 6 months.
You definitely start taking your shoes off at the airport, belts, metal items. We're doing that now.
That's true. We would change a little bit.
Let's move on to recasting.
All right, guys, welcome to the longest list of recasting we have available. Whether we do it or not, stay tuned.
This one was tricky because it's so many A-listers, even though they might even only have 2 seconds of screen time. We did most of them. Let's start with our celebrity cameo, Tom Jones. Who's your celebrity cameo?
Oh, you guys did Tom Jones? Oh, my God. You're just going to – it has to be a singer, though, right?
I've got a singer. I went against Vegas, but I want to see this person.
I don't know if you can just cast a cameo.
For this one specifically, I did, because I want to see how Rod Stewart plays it.
That'd be interesting and swarthy.
Okay.
I could see that. I did someone who I'm not exactly sure, but I tried to pick people who had a residency in Vegas. Wasn't NSYNC there for a second, or was it the Backstreet Boys? Because I just said, let's put Joey Fatone in that cameo.
I think it was Backstreet Boys, because NSYNC has a...
What if it was all of them?
Well, I'm keeping just Joey Fatone because I think because you know why? He does a lot of cameos where he's playful. He's like, I get it. I'm Joey Fatone. So he'd lean into it like that.
He's accepted.
I think Howie could kill that character. Howie. Man, what a bad boy.
Howie from Backstreet Boys. He's so bad.
Mark, you didn't have this one?
I didn't even think to recast Tom Jones.
Vegas, if I went Vegas
Celine
residency,
Dion.
Celine Dion, because she's crazy with a K. She's a batshit crazy.
That'd be interesting too. Who'd you have as Byron?
So Byron is the Jim Brown character, played by Jim Brown, the ex-boxer. I think we probably all went along the lines of we wanted an ex-athlete. None of us are going to do OJ because, he's a bad guy. But I did do Carl Weathers, who played Apollo Creed. He played football in college, had a little stint in the NFL. I did Carl Weathers.
That works for me. I did Vin Rames. We've done him before on the podcast. Well, I'm not sure I've done him a lot for recasting.
Is he in
Pulp Fiction?
Yeah, he's in Con Air. Oh, we have done him. He was in Con Air. I mean, my favorite from him is maybe Dawn of the Dead.
I didn't have this one either, so we can move it along.
Okay.
The Scientist. Who did you have in place of Pierce Brosnan?
I'll keep this simple. I did Daniel Craig just because I was going to pick an ex-Bond.
Okay. Mark, who'd you have?
I did Michael McKean. Think your
from Clue,
Almighty
right?
Wins. Think your best.
Oh, I love that.
Okay, that's actually fun.
Like
that's
just
actually
him
really
with the
fun.
pipe was kind of cheeky. Like Michael McKean could be great in that.
And especially him playing someone super confident that's always wrong. He would have really funny facial reactions, which go along with that.
He's maybe a little less charming, a little less to look at, but
okay. I have two.
He would be quite a bit more funny though than Pierce Brosnan. Just getting it wrong the entire time. Love to see him with a pipe too. Would love to see him fiddle around with a pipe.
Okay, I have two for you, and here's why. Number one, I think if this was our specialist, he'd probably be an American scientist. But to keep it British, I've put someone who's like a charming guy who can sometimes be witty, maybe Clive Owen. I don't know. He plays kind of that suave vibe sometimes.
Yeah. Clive Owen also is rumored for years to be the next Bond, and just never was.
That could have been cool. Number two for my American version, and I try this a lot, but John Hamm, good looking, kind of funny, and he's supposed to be trying to be serious. So him doing the same kind of Michael McKean of like, here, these are the facts, but I'm wrong all the time, could be hilarious.
Here's why John Hamm would work for this role, because when he plays comedic roles, he plays the goof who doesn't understand the gravity of everything. Mm-hmm. So to watch him flirt like this character does in those moments and just not get the severity would work, I think. Out of all the times you've said John Hamm, this one might actually work.
I got one. John Hamm is maybe it's not the best John Hamm, but it's a great John Hamm.
It's a good John Hamm.
Karate.
Yeah, that's yeah. Karate.
Who's next, Cammy?
Who'd you have as Taffy, the first daughter? Gotcha.
I went Chalk. I did a Chalk. Drew Barrymore.
Okay, I went uninspired Chalk. I did Natalie Portman. Sorry, not Natalie Portman.
Well,
I honestly, I almost did that.
Kirsten Dunst.
Millie,
No,
I did
sorry.
Millie Bobby Brown. I kept it a little more current.
Oh, I did think about that to update it. I did Keira Knightley.
Okay.
It looks like
They,
give her
I
an
mean,
American
also they
accent.
played a lookalike in Star Wars Phantom Menace, so
They
that
did.
works.
I did think about the Millie Bobby Brown, the Stranger Things girl. I think that would be a good modern day one.
Thank you.
Go to General Decker. That's
Actually,
kind
didn't
of
have that. Who'd you have?
Really.
I just missed that one I've seen now.
I think a crazy kind of kooky Night at the Museum, obviously younger, but a Mickey Rooney there would be hilarious. Like with the nukes.
He's too
He's
small
the-
to be taken seriously, but I get that. I get that
That's
100%.
that's why it's a perfect role for him. Like it's perfect.
Dang it! I wish I would have said mine first because that one's better.
What do you got?
He's so goddamn small. I did Thomas F. Wilson. You know him better as Biff Tanner from Back to the Future,
Okay, he's actually pretty
Biff,
funny.
Okay.
but it's not as good as Mickey Rooney.
I didn't have
Mine's just
anyone for that
oddball.
one. Who did you have as the Michael J. Fox reporter?
I have a specific one for this, and
I found
it's
this one really hard to cast.
Actually,
found this-
I landed
this-
on someone perfect. I'm pretty proud of it. I'll go last if you want.
His voice is so iconic. I mean, it's tough to.
mine is not perfect for the role, but it is perfect for the action sequence. When he jumps off of the following news truck to go, I don't know, save Sarah Jessica Parker, that is
Barbara?
Ben Stiller in a nutshell. That's what he does. He
Okay.
loves jumping over things and running, and that's why I recast him.
that could work
cast.
there.
Great
I did. Mark, who'd you have?
He's too young at this time, but like a little bit older. Matthew Broderick.
Matthew Broderick
Oh,
Like,
married
kinda
in
like
real
hit-
life, if I'm not mistaken, right?
to Sarah Jessica Parker.
Really?
Yep.
I did not know
So that'd be
that.
funny to play off each other. He'd be good in that role because he's
not know that.
annoying.
I got someone you actually might like to see. Paul Rudd. Him just playing vapid and into himself could actually kind of work. And he's also small.
That might be fine too.
Yeah, let's just move on to Natalie then and do the Sarah Jessica Parker role.
There's a time and a place for every actor and actress.
This one's
casting's
I have-
everything.
I have a perfect one. Just go
I have
first.
Anna Faris.
Oh, that could work, yeah.
Ditzy, aloof.
I'm taking also just like a staple kind of character. I'm doing Reese Witherspoon because of Legally Blonde. Someone who's just vapid and into herself too.
I thought
kind of, but
about
also-
that, yeah.
But also kind of stupid.
I went Parker Posey.
Ooh.
I have Parker
That's
Posey
perfect.
somewhere.
You won.
I have her somewhere.
This is her
somewhere
role.
Else.
Yeah, her there's like, and she could do the. I know what you're thinking, Cameron. Like she could do that one equally as well. So
I had her down for somewhere else.
I
but
like
her
her
a lot
this
'cause I
one,
like
though.
utilizing her.
should we? Since we just all said you wanted to go on to which one that is? Is that Barbara?
Yeah, that was my Barbara. Just as the desert kind of
Yeah.
Fuck.
She could
kooky
totally.
one who's with
Oh,
Jack
man.
Nicholson.
I almost like that one a
That's-
little better.
Especially when she's like up at the front of the stage talking
Yeah.
about the visitors coming to everyone. She's like, and I think it's just going to be peaceful, right? It's like
She'd
kind of like
be-
a Parker
actually,
Posey.
She'd be really good there as well. Mine's stupid now. I like Parker Posey much more than mine. I'm going for spaced out Winona Ryder,
Okay.
but it's not as good. It's not as funny. I like yours better.
I
can
have
see
another
that,
from
so-
that Christopher Guest camp, Catherine O'Hara.
Ooh, that's
Ooh,
good.
that's a good one. I actually like
Oh,
Catherine O'Hara
I'm
a lot.
gonna
It
throw
reminds
this one
me of
in
something
then.
she would do.
I replaced mine. I like both of yours, brother. I think I still like Parker Posey the best. But what about Stifler's mom? I can't think of the actress's name right now,
Oh,
Yeah, that
Yeah.
could work too.
but okay. I love Parker Posey. Man, she's perfect.
I like some of
for-
the other ones a little better, but that works.
do you guys have Jack Black's character, Billy Glenn?
Yes.
Yes, I do. That is a perfect Danny McBride.
Whatever you say, Thomas. It's Billy Glenn. I like how it's like nowhere near his name. Like,
I like Danny McBride.
Fun fact: Thomas is Jack Black's real name.
Is it?
first
I did
name.
not know that.
you're fucking kidding me.
Thomas Jack Black.
Yeah, I'm not sure what his name is, but that's his stage name.
So again, that's better than mine, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Young Owen Wilson before he popped, playing.
He's too
something.
chill of a guy to be the army
Okay,
brother.
okay. I am glad that nobody said Rob Riggles because it's too on the nose, and
We've done it a
played
lot
it
too.
enough.
Who did you have as the Martin Short press secretary character?
I have a perfect one. This is the only one I felt good about. It's the perfect role for her. I know she's disgraced and she's going through stuff, but this is Ellen DeGeneres' role written all over it.
Oh,
She's the right amount of smug, funny, arrogant. It would have been perfect for her.
I kept it with someone else who has a little
Interesting.
smug.
I don't mind that.
I kept it with another short comedian. Went David Spade.
I like that. That actually is really good too.
He was my second choice. I put Michael Myers.
Ooh, I like that too. I like all of them.
Just when
Especially
he's
during
kind
the
of
90s,
sneaking in the like I could see him just being absolutely
like
fucking
all those feel pretty good. Now I don't feel like mine was as good.
This is a throwaway before we get to some big ones. Let's do the rude gambler.
I just want Danny DeVito now.
Okay.
Frank from like Always
I
Sunny.
want it to be Dirty Gross Frank Danny DeVito now.
Okay, I guess I'll throw Joey Diaz in there.
Oh, that might be too.
I did Joe Pesci, some sort of loud, just gambler. Like
I like
whatever.
Pesci.
I wanted to get that one at least out before we did some of the bigger ones.
Did anyone have the grandma?
Oh man,
I did Ellen
I did.
Albertini Dow. She's the old lady from The Wedding Singer.
So I thought of that, but I didn't want to look up her name, so I did Betty White.
Okay.
let's do Ricky or Richie, whatever we want to call him. Cameron, this one's
Okay.
for you. I'm doing a throwaway Mitch from Dazed and Confused. Wiley Wiggins.
Terrible casting.
Do you want me to say it, or do you want to say it?
Plays exactly the same.
You've
I don't-
never had a more perfect role for your guy. I'll let you have it if you
What,
want.
you mean Joseph Gordon-Levitt? Because that's who I had in there because I couldn't think of anything great.
He's actually my real pick.
Honestly, do you who might be good there? That's where Owen Wilson should fit in, especially like a younger Owen Wilson, long hair, just kind of hippie and not all there. That works great.
Yeah, I
Mind
could. But we all agree, and this is actually, out of all the times we've said it, this is perfect. Joseph Gordon-Levitt, young,
Yeah, 100%.
perfect. Long hair, short hair, whatever you want.
First Lady.
Let me
Jessica
see what I
Lange.
had. I like Jessica Lange. Can't go
Jessica
wrong.
Lange.
American Horror Story.
Most
Oh
notably now.
yes, that's a great one.
I went Meryl Streep. It's
I
kind
did
of
Meryl Streep too. I like Cameron's better. It's a little more creative.
I
is
thought
a
about
lot more
Meryl.
fun.
I immediately went to
Yeah,
Meryl
ours
Streep
is
and
chalk
I tried
for
to.
sure,
I
you're
tried
right.
to get. I tried to get something
I
else.
like
like
the
that.
Jessica Lange one. She'd fit in this
Yeah.
too.
That's good.
A little
Cameron.
more funny.
I don't like
Damn.
my president though, but here's how I will kind of describe it. Here's someone who is like very he's like a main A-lister, and it'd be weird to see him. George Clooney. It's my equivalent of Jack Nicholson as the president would be George Clooney as the president. He's also can be funny, but he's not necessarily comical.
That's your pick, right? That's your
Yeah.
cast. I want to say this with the caveat that George Clooney's going to have to play Art. I want my president and Art to be the same person. I like that.
I did recast that differently.
Wait, you did them separately,
but-
Cameron?
Yeah.
Just wait for that then, okay?
Okay.
Jordan,
Oh.
do your president with the caveat that they're the
It's
same
both
person.
of them.
Right.
It's both of them.
Yes.
And I know it's going to change it, and this isn't the most inspired one, but I just went Christopher Walken.
Okay.
Okay. He could do the casino, whatever casino.
His
owner,
version of it,
business
it
owner.
wasn't the best, but that's what I did.
I did a Gary Busey. He could do at that time. It could be a wild card. He could do the president, and he could also do definitely that casino owner.
You
Like
could do the
I could
casino
see the
guy.
casino
Gary Busey.
owner.
What about Nicolas Cage?
That could kind of work. Like Nicolas Cage now could work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I
brought in a lot of-
I'm more than anything, I want to see him as the
salesman.
character.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
salesman, yeah.
I did Michael Keaton. It's because it's essentially doing a Beetlejuice character right there.
I like that, yeah.
And I do know that this is a trickle down. He was originally up for that role, but couldn't end up doing it. So that's maybe kind of why it is.
I like that better than George Clooney. I like that 10 times better than.
That's way better.
Part
than
of the fun
George
of it. Both Jack Nicholson and Michael Keaton were signed on for a period of time, and both were excited to play off each other again as they had in Batman. But Michael Keaton had to bow out. And
You
then
should have
they
just
did-
gone with that from the jump. That's the
Yeah,
it's a
it
good
would have
cast.
It would have been perfect. But I actually think Michael Keaton could work as my president too. Now that I'm thinking about it,
That's
If we
what
were
I
to do
mean.
that-
Yeah, he could play
should have
straight.
you should have picked him from the start. I like that
Yeah,
better
really.
than George Clooney.
Yeah, I really should have. I split it
Yeah,
up.
George Clooney's not fun for this movie. If anything, George Clooney would be your scientist, your Pierce
Yes,
Brosnan.
He would-
I like. Yeah, okay.
He almost was.
All right.
Let's move on to Mount Rushmore.
Mount Rushmore Top 4.
Mount Rushmore, top 4. Our top 4 category of anything related to the movie. This week, we're doing our top 4 of a big ensemble A-list cast, such as this one. I'll break the ice here. I'll pop things off with something we've
Pop it
done
off.
before, Armageddon.
Ooh, I didn't even think of that one. Nice.
Some of those people maybe didn't necessarily pop until later, like Owen Wilson, that we didn't exactly know, but, it has a pretty big cast.
That's a great Jefferson spot. Love that.
Who do you guys
Damn,
got?
that is a good one.
Yeah,
And I
my
should
friends.
say, I think what separates this list, it's not 2 stars. It has to have at least 3 and should go deeper.
I'd say at least 4 almost.
Oh, I was about to say, I cut a lot of
star-studded.
movies. Yeah, I cut a
Yeah.
lot of movies that didn't seem like they had enough for me.
Okay, I'll hit up mine 4. It's a recent one, but I stand by it, and I think it's going to age well. Knives Out. Came out a few years ago, a couple years ago.
I was wondering whether or not to put that on my list.
Wow.
I did, because I really like that movie.
I'll say that's fine, but once we start, and I don't mean to take any, I don't want to spoil anybody's picks, but like once we start getting Avengers, like Guardians of the Galaxy.
I put that as an honorable mention just because those were kind of catered and built
All right.
to be
sorry,
that.
Sorry, we'll get there. I didn't mean to spoil anything, but
I didn't know if we were going to bring it up, but I put superhero movies as its own separate thing, especially because of Avengers.
Yeah, I have a caveat that's just kind of an honorable mention.
okay. All right, cool. This is an easy one, but Ocean's 11.
Ooh, nice. I do have that, but later in my list. So I love that call.
It's an easy 4 for me.
I have that pretty high.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to disagree with it.
Yeah, I love it.
It might be the most stars. I mean, your top 3
I had to, yeah.
are about as tops as it could be at the time. But if you even go all the way down to your 6 in that movie, you have everybody in that movie stars in their own movies at one point.
Okay, so for my number 3, I did a Tarantino movie, and I didn't pick necessarily my favorite one, but I went Pulp Fiction, one, because it is like a respected major classic one, but it does also have like Bruce Willis and like some other like Travolta and some other big players in there.
I agree with it. I definitely thought about it, but
I mean,
left it
I
off
could have
my
done
list.
like Django Unchained to get Jamie Foxx, Leo, and like a bunch of cameos in that one. Like that honestly might be the biggest ensemble cast he has.
Yeah, I thought of a lot of his, but left it off of mine because I was making my personal list. Although I love Pulp Fiction, I agree with it. It's deep, and it resurrected some of those stars.
But you
Obviously.
could have used a couple different Tarantinos. That's just the one I chose.
My number 3. It's kind of an overlooked one, but maybe one of my most favorite romantic comedies of all time. Crazy Stupid Love. It's deep. It's great.
I really should have put that on my list. That's a good
You got
call.
Steve Carell. You got
That's a great one. Love that.
Emma
Actually
Stone.
enjoy that movie.
It's a
That might
good
be my
movie, too.
favorite Ryan Gosling role. He is so likable in that movie, and he says
Such
things.
that's his most charming role of all
It
time.
really is. Maybe Remember the Titans, but that's number. That's
The
up-
only way to fight fire is with fire. I also have a rom-com that I like, and it's Love Actually.
For some reason,
Okay.
I thought you were about to say
Definitely-
Backdraft with some Baldwins, and I'm like, are you about to throw out Backdraft in my face?
No, here's what
like
Backdraft. I almost put in my honorable mention. We'll get to Marks in a second. You're forgetting Robert De Niro's in that movie, asshole. That's 3 stars. I mean, they were stars at the time.
Hey, man, I was excited for it, but I'm glad, sorry to
Mark,
walk over
I
that.
agree. Love Actually is a great one. I didn't. I really thought about putting it on, but I just didn't quite do it.
I did, because that's my number 2, just to get that out of the way. I put Love Actually as my
Nice.
number 2.
Okay,
Obviously,
love
love
that.
it for similar reasons.
Damn, I put it on an honorable mention. It was so close to being in, though.
That's where my Crazy Stupid Love took its place. It was one or the other. I picked that.
I guess the reason I didn't is because it's become just a perennial watch,
Yeah, I get it.
and it's as much of a Christmas movie. But I agree with that one. That one's a great one.
What's your number 2?
My number 2 is Ocean's 11. We've already
Okay.
talked about it, but it's loaded.
Makes sense.
Can't go wrong.
An obvious number 2 for me is Valentine's Day. Valentine's
that's-
Day has an incredible cast. It's maybe one of the worst movies I've ever seen. I've actually seen it, so I can.
I was about to say,
have
I've
my own
never
opinion.
seen it, so I have nothing to say. I just.
No,
It's
I
got
knew,
Ashton Kutcher, Queen Latifah, Taylor Lautner, Topher Grace, Jennifer Garner, Jamie Foxx.
When I saw a preview for this movie, I said, "Oh, it seems like they want to be Love Actually," and I just never
Yes.
saw it because of that.
It was a shit Love Actually. They tried to
the
intertwine
Gary Marshall
everything,
movie,
didn't
which I
work.
do like Gary Marshall, but Megan's like, are you gonna put it on there? I go, I cannot, but it is in the notes for honorable mention.
Well, hold on. So
It's
I
about
don't want
as
to get
star-studded
trashed
as
for
it
my
gets.
pick. It's just
No,
we're doing
you're
top
right.
star-studded cast. I mean, that's
It deserves to be on this
It
list.
should be on the list. If you made a list, it would be on there.
We are. I'm going to throw away what my number 1 was. It was Ocean's 11, but just to throw out something else out there that didn't make my list, Pearl Harbor.
It's not wrong either.
That has a bunch of people. It's a star-studded A-list cast. I have Armageddon and Pearl Harbor. How's that for a list?
That's a good.
I mean,
For the record,
That's a good
Ocean's
list.
11
be true.
was my.
Be true to yourself.
For the
Be
record,
true to
Ocean's
yourself.
11 was my number 1. It's been said, so I replaced it with an honorable mention.
Okay, my number one. It was the first one that came to my head.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, Ocean's 11 was, but I'm going Departed. It's as star-studded as
Ooh,
it
nice.
gets. Everybody's an A-lister, pretty much except the female character. I mean, Martin Sheen's a side role, and he used to be sort of an A-lister. You got Leo, you got Matt Damon, you got Jack.
That was definitely an honorable mention. Looking at my list, I definitely put popcorn movies that are like MTV Movie Award category movies on my list instead of doing necessarily good movies.
So I don't think you can talk about top like star-studded casts, all-star casts without talking about movie 43.
Okay,
I was going to bring that up.
Jordan,
Honorable
that's
mention.
the
what I was
most
gonna say.
star-studded movie of. Go through the cast list. I've
It's
never
Dennis
seen
Quaid.
It was so weird. It's a
Greg
meta movie
Kinnear.
about making a movie where
Common. And
it. Was
Anna
it?
Faris.
Has anybody seen it?
Yeah.
Is it good?
Naomi Watts. No, it has a 4% on Tomato Meter. It's horrible.
Something we missed out in there is getting some of the like Hail Caesar, getting I'm spacing on the brothers
The Coen Brothers. movies? Yeah.
movies. Those kind of lean towards that. I was also going to maybe put on Grand Budapest Hotel to get
Twister is honestly pretty big.
Cloud Atlas had a huge cast, but is kind of forgettable.
I've never seen that one. Twister's a good one. I thought about some Wes Anderson movies. To your point, Cameron, I think Royal Tenenbaums was the one I would pick.
Yeah, that's probably a little better.
Not my favorite one. I had a before they were famous. Dazed and Confused would be huge, but before they were famous.
Crash, that had a pretty big start. to the
Crash,
cast.
yeah, that's a good
as
one.
serious as it gets.
I kind of did Saving Private Ryan, but I
Private,
didn't
yeah.
think it was star stuff.
I think that made a few people a little more noticeable also, so I didn't want to say that.
What do you think about this? I almost put it on my list, but Goodfellas.
Oh,
is
yeah.
it or isn't?
Yeah.
Goodfellas is like, Lost Boys.
Yeah,
Oh,
that
Lost
actually kind of
Boys
makes
is
yeah,
pretty
actually that kind of
star-studded.
works too.
Goodfellas
I
is
don't
like
know.
Lost Boys.
I don't know how many times I have to say Monuments Ben for Jordan, but it's pretty A-lister.
Interview with a Vampire.
It's on my notes for dishonorable mention.
Men Who Stare at Goats, George Clooney.
Interview
That
with
had a pretty big
Vampires.
cast.
That's another Coen.
Another
Brothers
Coen.
movie.
Any Coen brother, I guess.
So then we start getting into like the X-Men's and the superhero crossovers.
Yeah.
So,
I'm saying we put those in a different category.
yes, agreed.
I think Avengers is its whole thing. I almost thought about Dark Knight, but it's a superhero movie.
Yeah.
It's just an A-list. Superhero movies became A-list.
There are a million movies like this, so make sure if we miss something you love, write in on the movie poster on social media at Cult Classics Pod. You can write in at cultclassicspodcast@gmail.com. As always, if you like what you heard,
If you like what you hear and you listen every week,
someone read a.
be a gem. Be a gem. Write us a review. Okay, well that's my 2 bits.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Check it next week.